I'm Emily. I live with my husband Ethan and his parents. His dad is pretty quiet. He has hobbies, but doesn't talk much. He's harmless, but his mom is the real problem. She clearly dislikes me and doesn't even try to hide it. I've pretty much experienced every passive-aggressive move in the book. Ethan defends me, but it's like talking to a brick wall. No matter what I say, they just won't listen. At breakfast, she'll say, "What's in today's soup?" I reply, "It's just regular soup." "No, it's not. It's spicy and it raises my blood pressure." "Well," I say, "please take that up with the soup manufacturer. I made it according to their instructions." "Goodness, using something like that?" "I'm busy. If you have the time to pick on me, use it to make a better soup." "Mom, maybe practice cooking first. That one time you made that slimy soup was a disaster." "That was just one mistake. Stop bringing it up. I'm done with this." "All right. Please clear the dishes. You always leave them stuck on." "I don't know what you're talking about." With that, she slams the door behind her and leaves the dishes as they are. She's always like this, quick to criticize but never actually doing anything herself. She doesn't set an example, nor does she correct her ways. "I'm sorry." "It's fine. It's the usual. But it's not like the stress doesn't build up. Her behavior isn't limited to just breakfast issues." Hanging the laundry. "Hey, I told you to hang it the way I do it, didn't I?" "Well, if you don't like how I do it, you can hang it yourself." "Why should I? It's your job." "Mother-in-law, you're a housewife, right? You said housework is the job of a housewife." "I get to take a break now that you're here. I've been doing it all along." "How many times do I have to tell you? I'm a working mom." "Starting to lose your memory?" "Oh my, you're such an ungracious person." Even so, mother-in-law never actually hangs the laundry. She won't even take it in, let alone fold it. When the laundry's done, "Hey, did you clean?" Mother-in-law finished her morning chores and seemed displeased with me, coming over to complain again. I wish she'd channel that energy into helping around the house. But mother-in-law stands imperiously in front of me, without any cleaning supplies, screeching at me in a shrill voice. Annoyed, I retort, "The Roomba's handling it." She turns red and fumes. "You're slacking off." "I'm not. I clean regularly." "In my day, I swept the floors every day." "Nowadays, we don't sweep every day, and I do a thorough cleaning once a week." "Once a week?" "That's why I let the machine handle the detailed cleaning. Would you like to show me how it's done?" "It's your job." "So I let the machine take care of it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do." "You act so high and mighty for someone who doesn't do much." Mother-in-law dislikes everything I do and complains at every turn. This holds true even when relatives gather. She keeps bullying me in front of them. Nothing seems to have changed this year either. "Long time no see. How've you been?" "You look well, Linda." "I didn't ask you, did I?" Before greeting Linda, mother-in-law gives me a sharp look and waves me off with her hand. "No need to be like that. You seem unchanged as well." Same old, always so cheeky and annoying." "Why can't we all just get along?" "I'm trying to get along. I'm offering guidance." "That's just bullying, you know?" "Emily slacks on housework, can't cook to save her life, and always makes the soup too spicy." I have to admire my mother-in-law's knack for exaggerating everything I do in the worst possible way. But Linda and the others don't seem to mind, knowing her tendency. "Even so, Emily cooked this year's meal, right?" "Yes, I did." "How's the taste?" "It's delicious. You could have just used store-bought, you know." I could have bought something, but using store-bought feels like admitting defeat, something I can't bring myself to say. Besides, I don't actually hate cooking. As long as there's no one to complain, that is. "Exactly. Since you're not good at it, just use store-bought." "Didn't you say store-bought was unacceptable for the end of the year?" "I never said that." I remember a conversation we had at the end of the year. Emily, what are you planning for New Year's dishes? Well, I should start prepping soon. Prices are going up. You're buying it? I was a bit irritated by her presumptive tone, so I retorted, No, I'll make it myself. Her usual lack of listening skills is almost impressive. You said it's getting expensive, which means you're buying it. If you knew it was pricey, you should have ordered early. What are you talking about? I said the ingredients are getting expensive. Oh, stop making excuses. I'm tired of this. Can we drop it? How rude. Disrespecting your elders like that? Sure, whatever. My mother-in-law, who probably doesn't remember our end-of-year conversation, starts bad-mouthing me again. She really lacks charm, you know. It'd be nice if she could be more straightforward. Linda looked at mother-in-law in disbelief. Emily, I'm impressed you put up with mother-in-law like that. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. I didn't ask you. No, seriously, that's what I mean. Well, it's fine. I'm actually planning to move out soon. What? Wait, why? Are you thinking of divorcing? I mean, if it were just mother-in-law, I'd consider it. What about Ethan? Oh, didn't I mention? We're moving out. What? What do you mean? We're relocating. Mom insisted we live with her, but she won't stop harassing Emily and doesn't lift a finger around the house. So, we're okay to move. I see. That's great. The person you can't stand is leaving. Thanks for your help. Do you think you can just do that? Of course. We're not children. Neither is Emily. There's no way your dad would allow it. My father said it's fine. No other way around it. Mother-in-law looked worriedly at father-in-law, but father-in-law just nodded. It's your fault they're leaving in the first place. We have nothing to leave behind here. Even the house is a rental. It won't be a problem. They've agreed to take care of the funeral cost, at least. With that, father-in-law stood up and handed mother-in-law some papers. It's time for us to end this. I can't live with a woman who enjoys tormenting people. What father-in-law handed over was divorce papers. It turned out father-in-law was more observant than he seemed. Noticing his wife wasn't doing her chores and was bullying me, it got him thinking. When his son Ethan discussed moving out, he made up his mind to divorce. So where am I supposed to live? You're an adult. Go wherever you want. Dad is leaving too. I'm leaving in 3 months. You'll need to vacate this place. You've got enough time to figure something out, like finding a live-in job or something. I'm not a monster. I'll leave you a good amount of money. Mother-in-law seemed unable to keep up with this sudden turn of events. For now, please rest in your room, she was told as she was guided to her bedroom. Linda, I'm sorry for involving you, especially at a festive New Year's gathering. Why apologize? This is a wake-up call. And if you're making a new decision, then it's something to celebrate. Perfect for the new year. Linda responded, laughing heartily. After the New Year's commotion, mother-in-law became a recluse. I felt a bit guilty, but didn't know what to do for mother-in-law, who was in the situation due to her own actions. So for now, I slipped some pamphlets of adorable rental apartments through the gap under her door. Places she could afford with the savings father-in-law had told me about. For a while, I heard her sobbing from inside the room. But since she's alive, she should be fine. The food I placed outside her room is also completely gone. After some time, perhaps realizing we were not paying attention to her, mother-in-law left the house for a few days. We, on the other hand, continued to live our lives as usual without being particularly concerned. When mother-in-law returned, she exclaimed, "Why aren't you worried about me?" "Ah, welcome back. You're an adult. I figured you might be traveling or talking to real estate agents. We would hear from you if something came up." Perhaps this was not the reaction mother-in-law was expecting, as she retreated to her room again, saying, "Fine." That's when I said, "You can keep to yourself. But you really should decide on a place to live soon. Last-minute rentals limit your options, and you won't be able to hire movers." Noting that I wasn't there to comfort her, she retorted, "This is all your fault in the first place." "What is?" "You marrying Ethan, that's what." "We did get your approval, you know. Although, to be honest, we're in an era where we could get married without it." "I didn't like you from the first time you were brought here. You seemed too cheeky." I was polite. It was my mother-in-law who ignored me, so I figured she wasn't interested in having a good relationship. That's why I refused to live together in the first place. Truth be told, living together was never part of the original plan. I knew I didn't get along with my mother-in-law, and Ethan wasn't keen on the idea either. But we moved in because it was becoming hard for them as they aged, and my father-in-law asked us. Probably it was hard to stomach my mother-in-law's bad cooking day after day, and she wanted someone to do household chores for her. Now I think she suggested living together just to make my life miserable. I just thought you needed some discipline." But when I first came, the house was a mess. The house was terrible when we first moved in. It was cluttered, barely any floor to walk on. Papers overflowing from shelves, dusty furniture everywhere. The fridge was a mix of expired food and new food, making it hard to use, and the vegetable drawer had rotting produce. We took days off and spent a week making it livable. Given the current state, if we rent a new place, it'll turn into a mess again. Should I teach you how to maintain it? I don't need it. But your room is still messy. From the door, I can see her room cluttered, the floor hidden beneath piles of discarded clothing. Are you okay with that? It'll get messy again soon. I'll be fine. Days later, we moved out of the house. My father-in-law plans to leave in a few days, too. Worried, I decided to check on my mother-in-law. When I arrived, I heard some strange noises from inside the house. "Hello? Is everything all right?" I walked in to find the house in terrible shape again. The floor was inexplicably soaked. Laundry was overflowing from the washing machine, and yet the clothes hung up to dry were crumpled. The kitchen sink was piled high with dirty dishes, and I could see at least 4 brooms and dustpans. "This is a mess again, isn't it? What brings you here?" "Well, just doing the usual final walkthrough before moving out. You may not be aware, but it's a big deal if we don't return the house to its original state. Half of what I'm saying is true. I also came because father-in-law asked me to. The house has to be empty before we hand it over. Though, looking at its current state, that seems impossible. When are you handing over the house? Next week, right? What about your move?" "I've already found a new place. The movers are coming the day after tomorrow, so I was planning on tidying up." "Then why is everything soaked?" "I was trying to clean the house." "So you did a wet wipe down?" "So you didn't, or should I say, you didn't even know how to?" "I just forgot, okay?" "Why not just be honest? We're not living together anymore." "Enough with your nagging." All right, I won't help you then. Didn't your mother-in-law teach you how to clean?" Turns out, mother-in-law really can't do household chores. Her mom was proficient at them, but assumed mother-in-law would naturally learn, so she never taught her. Her mom thought the same, that her daughter would be just fine by just observing her. So mother-in-law never learned cooking or cleaning. Perhaps because of that, mother-in-law couldn't do any household chores even after getting married. After Ethan was born, she managed some tasks, but only at an elementary schooler's level. And you still managed to be such a mother-in-law from hell. I'll be honest, because it's the end. I was ashamed of my incapability. I thought if I criticized you, my shortcomings wouldn't be exposed. I see. Mother-in-law had her reasons, but that didn't make it acceptable for me. Being unable to do something doesn't justify attacking someone else. When I told her this, she replied, "I still can't accept you, no matter what." At that point, there was nothing left to say. I left my in-laws' house. On the day of the handover, even though it wasn't necessary, I found myself near my in-laws' place. As I approached, I could hear father-in-law's loud voice from several houses away.
Didn't I tell you we were closing today?
Well, the movers didn't show up.
How do you expect to move like this?
But,
No buts. Get this sorted out by this evening.
how do you expect me to do that all by myself?
Not my problem.
Even from a distance, it was clear my mother-in-law couldn't handle the move by herself. I glanced over at Ethan, who was with me. Ethan caught my gaze and sighed.
I appreciate the concern, but maybe we should go home. I can't drag you into this mess.
Oh, come on. I feel sorry for her. I really didn't, but I made a pitiful face for Ethan's sake. Inside, I was trying hard not to burst into laughter. Holding back giggles, I looked down, and Ethan must have mistaken it for crying.
You're so kind, even after what she did. Let's go home. No more heartache.
Yes, I'm sorry. As I wiped away a tear brought on by suppressed laughter, Ethan looked even more sympathetic. Feeling relieved, I thought there would be no more mother-in-law issues from now on. I did feel a bit guilty about my father-in-law, but he was also to blame for neglecting her, so this seemed fair. I hope he steps up for the final leg